Hello, and welcome to Data 5070, Statistical Software Packages for Applied Data Analytics. Um, I'm the teacher assistant, Ayub Sethi, and I am a master's in Applied Data Analytics at University of Detroit, Mercy. So let's get right into it with a session one, which would be Introduction to RStudio. And in this session, we will cover how do we install R in RStudio, how do we launch RStudio, the key components available, and of course, the important features we should know as data analysts in RStudio. So first things first, you can either click on these links or you could just Google download R and RStudio yourself. And I could just go over it. You could just go download R for Mac because I'm using a Mac. And then you just download one of these latest released packages. You click on there. And after you download R, I want you to go and download RStudio. And we need R to use RStudio. As you can see, RStudio is an IDE for R itself. So once you go there, I want you to just get the free RStudio desktop version for your files. And you can start to download for whatever operating system you might have. And just remember, open R before you open RStudio, because R needs to be installed before RStudio. And we can go through that really quick once this stops downloading. There we go. Right, and I'm not going to go through this, but you guys just download this, and then after that, you download RStudio. After you've done with the downloads, you're going to have something like this. And I know this looks like a lot, but we can go through this one by one. And as you can imagine, it is quite simple. What we have over here is our code editor. This is where we write our codes. This is our console. A console is where all of our outputs of the codes will be. Over here, we have our files. If we make plots, our plots are going to be here, all of the packages, and packages are just bundled functions, which we can use. We also have the help and the viewer, which we can get into later. And most importantly, there's the environment here. If you load any data sets, you have all your data sets here, and you have all the values of the data that you make. So I'm going to clear everything. And you can clear all this by clicking the broom buttons on top of the panes here. And additionally, you can go into RStudio, go into preferences, and you can make it appear as much as you want. As you can see, I have different colors. I use a bigger font from 12 to 14, so on and so forth. You can also change your layouts. For example, if I want my outputs on the right rather than on the bottom, I can change my console onto the right and my environment shifts down here. So we can apply it, and there we go. So let's get started. Introduction to RStudio. As a programming language, R is built for basic mathematical operations. And the first thing we do is we explore R by using some simple operations, some simple mathematical operations. So the first one, addition. Like any other coding language or a calculator, as you might, we can use R as a calculator. And to run your command, you press Command Enter for Mac or Control Enter for Windows. So here you go. So you see the output on the right, 12. We could also do subtraction. So we have 10 minus 5 minus 1. Multiplication, division. exponents, and modulus. So I encourage all of you to go through these files, and all of these files are going to be uploaded, so you can just download these files and run them right into R. We have some similar structure as to other languages. If you are familiar with Python or SPSS or anything you've used in your additional classes, including SQL, R is similar to other programming languages, which follows the order of operation. So order of operation, obviously meaning multiplication will happen before the addition. So we can see over here. And obviously the parentheses have to go first in any mathematical operation. And it is quite same with RStudio as well. And of course, we can mix the parentheses with other operations. Fun. In many YouTube tutorials, as you can see, hello world, we can do that in R as well, where we can print a simple string. So for example, print hello world. We can skip the plots for now. Now let's get to the most important part. How do you download packages? And again, packages are just functions we can use for many different things, for our linear regressions in the future and other mathematical operations as well. A very simple structure is you just put on install.packages and you write the name of the package. And to load the package into R, you simply just say the library and the package. Oh, I'm sorry, it has to be under commas once you do the install. But as you can see, I already have the packages, so I'm just going to say no, but you guys can say yes. And you can see packages installed, and then you just do library, dplyr, and here we go. Now, variables. As you can imagine, in this class, we're going to be working with different sets of variables. And to assign variables, we could go about two methods. First, we can use the arrow, as you can see here, or equal signs for assigning variables. I really have no preference, but as you can see, I can show you both. So for example, we have x, and we want to give x variable the value of 2. So there we go. And now we can see in an environment, we have x, and it has a value of 2. And we can do the same thing with y and give it a value of 5. And also remember that you can use the arrow operator in a reverse direction, like here. So now we have z that is equal to 3. And the arrow operators can be used to assign multiple variables at a time as well. So if you want to have a and b both be 7, we can run that with command enter. And now we have a and b, which are both 7. We can run that and check it for ourselves. So we run a, 7. We run b, 7. There we go. And we can also assign more complex statements. So for example, assign j 4. And what does this really mean? We can just run j, it's just a value of 4. This method is useful in some cases, but I encourage you to just go through these cases and practice more. And how you can practice is just press enter here and write anything you want. If you want to practice with 6 equals, sorry, if you want to do, I don't know, k equals 89, you can do that. And we can now, as we learned before, as we can use these mathematical functions, we can now straight use variables instead of writing the numbers down every time. So we can do k minus z, and the output is 86. As you can see, because k is 89 and z is 3. Great. So if you this far, you're doing great. And as you can tell, RStudio is pretty easy and pretty straightforward to get a hang of. All right. So after you've created all these variables, and if you want to remove something from your environment, it's also quite easy. So if you have j, which equals 8, we can just remove j. And that's it. J is gone. And now if you run j, you see you're going to get an error message, object not found, because we previously just removed it in the code above. Now let's get into some data structures. Like any other programming language, there are 5 basic structures in R. That is characters, numeric values like 2, 15.5, and characters are just anything. It could be a name, it could be any string of letters. Integers, so we have 2L, and the L tells R to store this as an integer, so it's automatic. We have logical functions, which is true and false, and complex, such as these functions. Complex numbers with real and imaginary parts, like we have in many statistics and mathematical formulas. And let's see, R also provides us many functions to examine the feature of a vector or objects. For example, if we have a variable named x and we give it a character data set, so we can see we have x, which has the character data set, and we want to know what type of a variable it is. So we do type of in parentheses x. We run that and we can see it's a character. If you want to look for the attributes of x, we run attributes x and null. And the output is null because x itself has no metadata in it, meaning it has no numbers in it, right? So for example, we have z here and we want to see attributes of z. Still have none. There is still no metadata there either. Right. Creating a simple list, we have y 1 to 10. You do that, you see, I have a simple list, y of 1 to 10. You could choose anything. You could do 1 to 100. Sorry. Don't know what happened there. There we go. And if you run y, you have 1 to 100. And now if you want to check the structure of y, we can see integer. So this was part 1 of just going through RStudio, and there are many different methods and ways about going in R. We have all our packages down here, which we will go through more in the next session. And I encourage you to go through your history, checking all the code you have run in the past. In environment, you can go through all over here. Just go through the terminals, the jobs, look whatever it is. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Thank you so very much. And everything, including the videos, the R files, and all the code will be available online.